Yo guys, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the brand new balance changes that are coming out, I think tomorrow with the maintenance. And on the background, I'm going to just have my rank gameplay just doing there, like the draft is there. I had 3 games of rank, so you guys can just watch that if you don't want to, watch me yap and stuff. But yeah, let's get straight into the balance changes here. First up we have is Spike. Now Spike is a bit strange one in my opinion. Like, it's not very fitting in the meta, and I think it's because it's very old school and the hypercharge doesn't give it that extra bit of element. So yeah, but they managed to reduce the cooldown of the Spike gadget from 15 seconds to 14 seconds for both of them. I don't really know what this does. It seems like a pointless balance change because obviously this is not going to make Spike into the meta, and I just don't think that a change like this was even, I don't know what the thought process is. But yeah, I think they want to try and make Spike going back into the meta. Its play rate has probably dropped off quite a lot here. I think that's probably because it has no depth. A lot of brawlers nowadays released are either assassins or brawlers that have amazing kits. For example, Jay is not an assassin, but he can heal, he can speed, his gadget allows him to deal a lot of damage, like a little bit of an earthquake. And then you got Kaze coming out, different modes. You got Ali being like, a bit strange as well. So obviously some of the older brawlers will eventually fall behind, and I think Spike is one of them. But if I was, trying to change Spike, I would probably just buff his range or projectile speed. I think that's probably the best way you can do it, because obviously damage is not an issue and the super is definitely not an issue. So I think either range or projectile speed, and Spike could become, a lot better here. But yeah, that's going to be Spike. Next brawler is going to be Colt. They've they've buffed his silver bullet gadget, which is the wall break gadget, to 16 to 14 seconds. Now this could be very interesting and high. For example, a map in Hot Potato where you could go some wall break strats, even though it's kind of base racy nowadays with so many assassins, just being cooled down, and then maybe you do the gadget cooldown as well with the gear, making it maybe like I think 12 seconds per wall break. Could be an interesting strat. Again, Colt is just way too much of a simple brawler for it to be effective anywhere other than heist, I think. So yeah, I don't really know how they're gonna make Colt versatile when it's just a super simple brawler and it has no depth to it. So yeah. Next brawler is going to be Meeple. Now Meeple, if you guys don't remember, used to be insanely meta. It was literally first pick in most maps here. The box, the stun were both used in different situations here. Meeple used to 3-shot a lot of the brawlers here. And now it's just kind of fallen off because there's so many aggros in the game, so many high HP. Meeple just simply does not have the damage for it here. But now we just have 3 buffs for Meeple here. The first buff is going to be a HP buff, going from base health to 6,000 to 6,400, which is going to, I think, put his max level HP above 8k. I might be wrong, but that's a pretty good HP for a brawler that actually has some sort of range. And then we have a damage buff as well, 2,400 to 2,520. Obviously, because now there are so many assassins in the game, I do think Meeple lacked a little bit of damage. That's one of the main reasons it dropped out the meta. So it'll be interesting to see if this damage buff is going to be enough, because it probably does change a lot of interactions. Like, you can use it as a mid-range brawler and just 3-tap some people. That's another way it can be used. For example, it'll probably 3-tap an Amber, probably 3-tap like a Charlie as well now. Like, that could be interesting to see how it plays out. But that's a cool change. And then the third balance change is a reload buff. So now it's going to be at 10.5% quicker to reload your ammo. Now this could be game changing because everyone knows Meeple has a very slow reload speed, and now increasing it by 10% is a pretty big change here. So 3 changes to Meeple. Obviously, they must have seen the play rate being pretty bad. I don't know the last time it was drafted in a scrim, a match arena, a pro match, like anything along those lines. I cannot remember the last time it was drafted here. So yeah, I think Meeple's had one of the biggest fall-offs in the meta we've seen for a while. So it's good to see that they are trying to buff it, which is good. So yeah, I think Meeple will be in a decent spot here. Do I see it being, overtaking the meta? I don't think so, just because once again, there's going to be so many assassins right now. Like, we have brawlers like Hank, Ali, Kenji, Lily. Any high HP brawler is going to just make Meeple a lot worse here. And they don't seem to be nerfing any of the high HP brawlers as of now. So yeah, I think Meeple's still going to be in a bit of a weird position here. But yeah, the next one is going to be Cord. Cord, for some reason, is getting a buff. I'm not quite sure why, because there is more assassins being played and more tanks being played. I think Cord's play rate was going up regardless, but for some reason they gave him a crazy damage buff. Like, they've made his damage go from 1400 to 1600, and that is ridiculous. Like, he probably 2-shots a lot of brawlers now, which I think is ridiculous here. I'm not quite sure what the thought process was behind this here, but obviously now Cold's going to be one of the best tank counters in the game now, just because you can probably, you know, for example, in Heist, if a Miko's coming at you, you probably prevent him getting one extra shot, which is obviously a big difference maker nowadays here. So yeah, I think the Cold balance changes is, I think the Cold balance change is going to be one of the best right now, just because I think a brawler like that getting a damage buff is just, yeah, it's a little bit crazy. Cold obviously used to be one of the best hypercharged brawlers and hypercharge counters, just because you take them to the realm, they can't use the hypercharge ability, so it's fairly unique in my opinion. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Cold places in the meta. I think he's going to be very good now. I'm not quite sure where he is right now, maybe like B tier or A tier, but he's definitely going to be improving up in the rankings here, I would say. But yeah, and then the next balance change is going to be another buff, so I'm going through all the buffs right now. It's going to be Tick. Now, for some reason, Tick is receiving a damage buff. I don't really know the thought process behind this one, because I feel like Tick is just such a underrated thrower, and you can only pick it in the right situation, because essentially, once again, I keep talking about the same thing, that this meta is so tank heavy and it's so assassin heavy that, you know, brawlers that can't deal with aggros pretty well are going to be struggling quite a lot. And again, Tick is one of them. Like, it's one of the few throwers that actually struggle against aggros. Like, Dynamite has a stun. I guess Tick has like a knockback and a tick head, but I feel like those are so easy to avoid if you have like some basic understanding of the knockback, and the tick head is just like a 2-shot for most brawlers anyway. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what this damage buff is going to do. It's going to make him pretty annoying in knockout, I'll tell you that. Knockout is going to make this brawler into a different beast now. You probably see it picked more often here, because, you know, increasing the brawler's damage by, what is that, 80 on base level is, you know, it's a lot. Oh wait, is that base level? I don't know if that's base level. No, I think that might be max level actually. But yeah, max level, increasing it by 80. 1400 basically damage per hit is a bit crazy. So it's going to be a very good chip brawler now. It'll probably overtake brawlers like Sprout. I think loads of people try and pick Sprout over it, but it still gets its fair share of play rates, I would say. So yeah, I think Tick going to be a lot better now. But again, still doesn't make sense in my opinion, the change. I feel like they could increase its HP. HP will be a very good one, because I think a lot of brawlers can 2-tap it, which is interesting. But yeah, I'll just get into the next game. And also, if you guys have your own little comment or, you know, thoughts about these balance changes, feel free to leave them down below. I do read my comments, even if I don't reply to them. I do read most of them, so make sure to go leave them down below. And also, if you can subscribe, I appreciate it. We are very, very close to 100k subscribers, and that is like one of my childhood dreams, to get 100k subs and just, you know, have a YouTube channel and stuff. So I really appreciate that. But let's carry on with the buffs here. We've got a few more. Next one is going to be M's supercharge rate. It's getting increased by 14% here. And this brawler, I think I have a good understanding of what it needs to be done to make him meta, because M's, before the gadget rework, where all the gadgets had, you know, unlimited amount of time, and you know, they had their own little timer and stuff like that. I think M's, all that M needs is that you just make the gadget, the knockback one, you reduce it to around 10 seconds, 11 seconds, 12 seconds, something along those lines, and this brawler will be meta, because I think people have the understanding of counting, and when they see M uses a gadget, M's becomes instantly the freest kill on the map, because if you have any sort of assassin, you just run at him. Like, when he uses knockback, you just run at him, and most of the time there's 2 aggros being used nowadays in a comp. So if you have, like, for example, let's say Ali and then a Kazde or a Kenji, let's say Ems uses a knockback gadget against one of them, you have to wait, like, what is it, 18 seconds or something like that to use your next knockback, and that means the other assassin has 18 seconds to just go in and kill the Ems. Like, it's completely ridiculous. I think that's one of the main reasons, and probably the sole reason why Ems is not going to be meta ever, just because of that. But yeah, I don't think this super charge rate is going to do anything. I just really think they need to reduce the knockback gadget cooldown, and this brawler will be back to what it was, because it used to be picked quite a lot against pretty much any aggro, because it was so good at keeping them back, and it was just such an annoying brawler. But yeah, I think that's one of the things they need to do here, because there's just way too many brawlers that close the distance now, that can jump onto Ems, that can dash into Ems, and Ems just sucks close range, which it shouldn't be the case when you have a knockback. So yeah, that's why I think that needs to be done with Ems. On to the next one here, we have Jesse. This is a bit of a weird one. Jesse obviously is not a very popular brawler. It's probably one of the worst brawlers in the meta, just because, again, a lot of the older brawlers are just falling behind just because of how basic the kit is. But yeah, as you see right now, Jesse's turret is getting buffed from 6,600 HP to 7,200 HP. So it's getting a overall increase of 600, which I think is quite a lot. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't know how good that would be. Obviously, for assassins and tanks, it could be very good because you can't kill the turret probably. Like, it's going to be very difficult to kill the turret here. So I think it might be a very tough thing to deal with now, which could be very annoying, which is probably what they have been looking at. I'm sure they have like a lot of data and a lot of reasoning behind all these changes, by the way. I'm not saying, you know, they're doing it for no reason, but, you know, I'm just saying my perspective on what I played, because I played this game, you know, hundreds of hours. I probably have like over 20,000 hours on this game here, so I have a pretty good understanding of how everything works. So, yeah, I think with Jesse, you either need to increase the projectile speed, which I'll tell you right now, if you increase Jesse's projectile speed, its problem will be fixed. It'll instantly be fixed here. Obviously, Jesse has one of the hardest shots to hit. Its range is quite decent, to be honest, but yeah, it's just too hard to hit shots, you know, at like a decent distance, like mid to long range. It's very hard to hit Jesse's shots, so I think that would be one of the main things that would fix it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this turret HP does. I think you'll start seeing Jesse maybe more in heist, because obviously Jesse used to be very good on maps like Hot Potato, used to be good. I think people used to use it on Kaboom Canyon or whatever, because you can sneak in the mid bush and it's actually like quite good, because then you start using Jesse like a bit of a shotgun brawler. It's a bit weird, but yeah, that's how people used to use Jesse sometimes as well, just as a close range brawler, because that's the easiest way to hit shots. But yeah, I think this would be a good change. I just think they need to do more with the shot. I think the shot is the weakest part about Jesse. It's definitely not the hypercharge or the normal kit. I just think the shot needs to be increased with speed, something along those lines, or you just increase damage. But I think they've already done that a few times, so I just think it's projectile speed that needs to get changed. But I'm still liking the Jesse change. I think it's quite good. And let's move on to the final buff, which is going to be Miko. Miko has already started to creep up in the meta, and that's mainly because of heist. The whole heist change with the 3 barriers now it has every 25% is very catering to Miko, because if you do 3 jumps, for example, it pretty much breaks the whole shield if you have the correct star power. And I think now it's gonna actually break the whole shield in 3 shots, which is a bit insane here. So yeah, I think this Miko change is gonna be quite good. In terms of how it does in other modes, I think maybe knockout it'll be quite good, maybe in bounty as well. It's just one of those it's just one of those modes where you just pick it on slow game modes here. I think bounty, knockout, and highest are just going to be the 3 modes for Miko here. I don't think you'll see him anywhere else. I do believe there are a bunch of good Miko matchups that people don't recognize, but once again, it's just such slim chances of it being a good Miko game. But you know, maybe this change is going to be quite good here. I'm not quite sure what you can do with Miko. It's a bit of a weird brawler here that requires like a good synergy type comp, but I think this change is going to be good. Obviously, it changes a lot of interaction. Maybe 3 shots on brawlers here, which they probably looked into here, but interesting to see them myself here. But yeah, that is going to be all the buffs now. Let's move on to all the nerfs. Alright, I'm going to go through them quickly here. So we got the nerfs here. We got Charlie Spiders getting reduced from 20 seconds to 18 seconds cooldown. Actually, no, I mean, it's going up from 18 seconds to 20 seconds here. A little nerf. I think it's not going to harm him, Charlie, too much here. I still think Charlie's going to be pretty good here. It's, I don't know, like a top 10 to top 15 brawler. It has good range, good tank counter. I think the range is amazing. That buff they did to him really revitalized the brawler here. So I think the brawler is still going to be very good here. Nothing to talk about with Charlie anymore. This is a big one here. Next up is Draco. Draco's hypercharge rate is getting nerfed by 30%, which is absolutely crazy. And its damage is getting reduced from 15% to 5% damage buff, which I think is going to be a big nerf to Draco here. You're not going to be seeing as many team wipes or Draco getting hyper like 2 or 3 times a game now. So I think it's going to be a very good change here. This might have killed Draco as a first pick or as like an early pick now. We just need to see here. But I think this was a very good change because, again, it was just one of those no skill hypercharges, which was ridiculous. But yeah, I'm glad they've done this Draco nerf here. Next up is going to be a brawler, which I think they've done a poor job on. It's going to be Lumi. I think Lumi receives a nerf every balance change, and they still haven't got it right. There's one simple thing they need to do. But let me talk about the change first. So they're going to increase the cooldown of the slow/freeze gadget from 22 seconds to 23 seconds. Once again, it does absolutely nothing. And they remove the freeze effect after that. Like, I'm not quite sure what that means here, but yeah. This is going to do nothing. Lumi is going to be completely unaffected here. And I think that all they need to do is just reduce how quickly you can shoot your shots here, because Lumi has one of the quickest DPS in the game just because how quickly you can unload your shots. And that's all they need to do. You know what? That's literally all they need to do. Just make it a bit slower and Lumi will not be broken here. And especially because it now has a hypercharge where you can just chain onto 3 people and you can just team wipe them with just the hypercharge. I think this brawler is just so simple to nerf, and they're just doing anything to avoid it, and it just makes no sense to me. So yeah, I think that's how you fix Lumi here. Next up is going to be Shade. Shade's hypercharge getting reduced by 20%. This will do completely nothing. I think I watched Spen's video and it's going to go from like 2 supers to 2.5. And I think once Shade gets 1 super, it is so easy to change and chain hypercharge and super after super. So yeah, I think Shade is still going to be broken. I think it's still an S tier brawler. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous, and I think they just needed to nerf it even more here. Maybe like similar to Draco, like a 30%, 35%. I think that would have been pretty good here, but yeah, I'm not quite sure why it's only gone down by 20% here. Next up is going to be Hank. Hank's HP is getting nerfed from 11,200 to 10,400. See, Hank is a very tanky brawler, which obviously makes him very, very strong here. I'm not quite sure if this was the play to nerf him. I would have personally targeted his damage or his bubble range. I think those are 2 unique things you can nerf about Hank. I think it's good to have a trait of having high HP for a brawler that struggles and soaks up a lot of damage passively. So I don't think HP was the main thing to nerf about him. Obviously, it's going to change him quite a lot here, but I do think that him having his range and damage is what makes him very strong. And obviously, alongside of the HP helps quite a lot as well. But yeah, I think that's what they had to nerf about him. But obviously, this nerf will still do a good amount to it, so I'm happy about that here. The next up is going to be Kaze. Kaze's hypercharge nerf rate is going down by 18%. So I think this is a very good change. I think Kaze is in a good position right now just because you can, you know, go in, get a couple deaths, charge up your hypercharge, and the hypercharge, once again, it's just how it is nowadays. A hypercharge can team wipe, make such a big impact, and cycle super so easily here. I think a lot of the hypercharges need to be toned down, and they're slowly doing it, but I just feel like they need to be a little bit more harsh, because I just truly think hypercharges have ruined the game completely, in my opinion. So yeah, I think they need to be more harsh on that front here. Next up is Mr. P's pause, getting his gadget where you throw the paw and it spawns in from your next shot. It's getting reduced from 15 seconds to 17 seconds. I think that is going to be a pretty good nerf here. I think Mr. P is not overpowered. I think it's in a good spot. I think this gadget nerf is going to be very good and make it even more balanced, so I'm pretty happy with this. Now we're on to the last change, which is going to be Ali. Ali, obviously, best brawler they've probably ever released. It's absolutely ridiculous. You can't hit him. It's too quick. They've nerfed the HP from 7,800 to 7,400. I think that's a good nerf. They could have maybe done it even more. I think up to like 7,200 would have been good, because it has too much HP for an assassin. I think, like, yeah, I don't know, because it's just so easy to get up to enemies and sneak onto them. It's getting a reload nerf of 10,000, not 10,000, 10.5%. I think on its dash form, and then jump form is getting a reload nerf of 8%. So obviously this brawler just reloads way too quickly here, making it extremely broken. So obviously these reload nerfs are going to be doing quite a lot for it, and I'm completely happy with this. No complaints. They could have maybe nerfed the damage. I think the damage was a bit too OP as well, because yeah, you could two-shot a lot of the brawlers sometimes, and it was like, you know, it's a bit concerning when that can happen. And then you have attack cooldown going from 0 MS to 100 MS. Don't know why they ever had it as 0 MS. Like, being able to dash instantly, and if you have low ping, means that you basically can't get hit and you can just dash all the time. So I'm glad they've done that, because that was a bit ridiculous. But Ali's going to be a lot worse now. It's still probably going to be very strong, because I think it does a lot of damage. It's a good assassin to have, but yeah, I think it's still going to be pretty decent here. But anyways, that's gonna be wrapping up me talking about the balance changes. Let me know what you guys think down below. I would appreciate it. But yeah, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.